I feel like you should know because I don't want you without the knowledge. You know that I had some doings at one point here, right?
Yeah.
Ever since I was found by, supposedly my family and whatever when I was here, um, I have these every night for the last 5 years. I become just accustomed to them, and it's scary because I say 5 years. It's actually been like 6, maybe even 7. I don't even know anymore.
Time is very relative.
Yeah. Just know that it's been a very long time. I wake up with nightmares almost every night. And they're weird because I don't know how to describe them to people. They're very indescribable, but I always wake up in fear. Uh, the nightmares are generally very foggy. They're very confusing. I don't see anybody, and I have this weird fight, this weird urge every time I have these feelings. And I always wake up scared but relieved. It's like I don't want to say it's like a sleep paralysis demon, right? Or like sleep paralysis, but it is kind of like sleep paralysis. It's this weird, like, I'm trying to run away from something, but every time I run, it's just more fog and it's just empty and there's nothing. And I could never figure out what it is or why I feel this way. And I don't talk about it with the club because this is just me, right? This is well before the club.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did, and I know that these feelings I'm having are him. And when offered the opportunity to know, I turned it down. Not about the dreams or the nightmares, but about what I did. Because I think people change. And I think I have changed in that time. But I still have those nightmares that drive me to insanity. And I really don't know what they are. But I do have the open-minded suspicion that it was wherever I was. And I may never know. But if purgatory is anything like my nightmares, there's not a single message. There's not a single heart, note, writing, letter, conversation, or phone call that has ever come through my nightmare. And it's weird because there's never anything good that ends with them. It's never it's not like sometimes in my sleep I get a phone call or anything. It is just this perpetual nightmare daily. But I've learned to cope with it as best I can. But if my nightmare stands true to what I could only suspect is purgatory, there is no good and there is no bad. There's just a sense of loss, a sense of confusion, and a sense of fear. Because everywhere you look, it feels like nothing. You feel nothing. You see nothing. And the fear of trying to fight the urge to get out of that nightmare in bed is followed by fear and relief when I finally open my eyes. And
Do you just naturally wake up, or do you have to like force yourself to wake up?
I have to fight it. I'm afraid to not fight it because I don't ever want to be content with that fear. I don't really know if it's purgatory, but I can't think of anything else to what it could be. I mean, there's been days where I've woken up with my stomach literally just hurting and queasing. I've had to go to the bathroom to just throw up. I mean, it's again, I don't talk about it with people, but this is my life. You know, I spend my time at home with family when I can, but when I'm in bed, it's I've learned to
Torment.
just fight it.
Is there no days where you do feel good, or you can sleep through it? Just every night you can't see anything. You know, if you don't want to talk about it, it's okay.
No, you're good. Um, I haven't had good sleep since I walked down that beach, which is why I focus so heavily on keeping my mind preoccupied during the day.
Hmm.
But my rest never feels like rest. It feels more like I've woken up from a hangover. And I don't know anymore if my body has just become comfortable with this feeling that I am comfortable now with it. But I do have to fight the urge every time I sleep.
To not just let it consume you.
You could say that. I've never tried to not fight it after all these years. I'm afraid to not fight it. I'm afraid to, I guess, just like sleep paralysis. I'm afraid that I'd never wake up.
Hmm.
And honestly, that is the scariest feeling. And I never wish anyone to go through that, but I feel like if anyone should know, as much as I don't like Edgar, Allie, you know that. Um, I know you are friends with him. Uh, if my nightmare does tell true and is true, I don't know if there's anything that will ever get to him. And it's a sad but true feeling that I still feel years later.
I don't know either, to be honest. But if he can come home, or if he wants to, at least, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that I mean, I don't even know. All I have is hope and faith, and you know that when I read this book to him, that he can hear me and find some comfort. It's probably dumb. It's probably naive. It's probably silly. It's probably too cringy or whatever. But
No, no.
it's like to me, it's like when someone talks to someone in a coma, you hope that they can hear you.
Hmm.
And if he can hear me somehow, then he knows. he's not alone. Because someone like him should never feel alone.
I don't think anyone ever should.
No, you shouldn't.
And I think you should keep doing what you're doing. I wouldn't call it cringy or weird or different. I'm telling you about a nightmare. I don't know if it be true, but I will tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
You remember I told you that I was calling you more from a friend perspective to say that if Edgar approached me about Norman, I was gonna put a bullet in his head.
Yeah.
Do you know why I made that promise?
Because because I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
It's because I wish that sometimes I wish to know why I ever had the pleasure of walking down that beach again. And put simply, Tally, Edgar would have rested easier with a bullet if my nightmares were to be true. I don't want anyone to ever go through what I go through. I mean, I hate to say it, but sometimes I question why I'm even alive. Not that I don't want to be. I love life. But I don't know a lot of people that walk away from that place with a beating heart. That is inherently the scary part.
Well, they come back changed all the time. You're different for it. He's gonna be different for it. I agree. I don't even know. It's worse. So I just don't want him to be stuck there. Whether he comes back, or he moves on, it just doesn't sit right on the soul that someone that you care about can't cross over or come home. But you're right. If I would want anyone else to suffer, but it's also not on me to take a life out of pity.
No, it's not.
Because then I wouldn't have you. And you wouldn't have Ziggy or Rue or Hank. Oh, don't forget Hank.
I won't. You got my word. I almost called him earlier. Don't you worry. He's on my list. Yeah. No, I can't say I hate Edgar. I did everything I could to warn him about
Bro, you have no.
this.
Every fucking body on this goddamn island could have told him the exact same thing. He was still done, whatever. You can't tell him nothing. You honestly can't. We could literally tell you, Edgar, this hot plate will literally destroy your entire world. He's like, Chica, how do you know?
I'm gonna say something that's so insensitive but really funny. Sooty told me that Edgar was in purgatory, and she goes, "Yeah, he
Yeah.
passed away."
I hate that so because fucking Lang said the same thing at his funeral. That
Wait, you
I'm
guys,
like,
there was a funeral for him?
so ignorant. Yeah, there was a funeral. Jay put up a funeral for him. I'm like, he passed away. I'm like, you shut the fuck up.
God, that's not
The
even
thing is,
funny, but what the fuck?
I think Edward would actually find that really funny.
I would hope he would.
He's got a great sense of humor, even if he's a fucking asshole. I hate that man, but I love that man so much. It's so I hope he comes back just so I can strangle him back to death.
It's funny because, like I said, I never hated Edgar. I just did everything I could to give him the subtle warning about making contact. And I thought the only way I could do that was by telling him that if he were to approach me with any of this, I would kill him. Uh, and again, I don't know what happened to me, but I don't want anyone to go through 7 years of pain and suffering, like I have been.
To be fair, I think he's already been pained and suffering all his life.
I mean,
Like,
I've been through my ringer as well, but I don't wish these nightmares on anyone. Could you imagine going to bed every night and just waking up in fear all the time, growing up over it every day? It's an awful feeling.
it is an awful feeling. And there's a part of me that wishes that you could find the strength, or we could find a way to give you peace, and maybe you confront it. But the real possibility of you not coming out of it is something that I don't take lightly. This shit, this fuck ass section of the island, it may be, I don't know, supernatural, what the fuck you want to call it, but it's very palpable. It's very visceral. It's very real to me. So if your memories are remnants of what happened, then they're not just nightmares. Go ahead if
Mhm.
you need to answer that.
This is a DOC. I'm gonna
Go
call.
for it.
Nah, I'm gonna call him back. I'd rather have this conversation. Let me just let him know. Go ahead.
So if those are nightmares from where you were or where you believe you were, then I can see the appeal in not confronting it, and the very real safety of not confronting it either.
You know, it's kind of weird. Uh, I have come to find peace at the lighthouse, which doesn't make any sense. I don't want to say I am at peace here, but I am calm when I'm here. And that calm feeling that I have is, I only get it when I'm here. And I don't know why.
This specific spot or just in the area?
There's something weird that, so I smoke, obviously.
No, really?
Yeah. But, you know, you kind of, the nicotine helps the stress. But there's something about lighting a cigarette up and being, you know, in looking distance of the lighthouse that I have this weird weight off my shoulders that keeps me at peace in a weird way. So sometimes I come here and I just smoke a cigarette. Don't know why. Don't know if there's anything for it, but weird.
Well, I mean, Norman smokes.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Maybe you get like Stockholm syndrome.
You saying I'm him?
No, 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 no,
Next,
no, no.
next thing I'm gonna know, I'm gonna have a broom. I'm gonna start sweeping the fucking lighthouse.
No, but some Stockholm syndrome is not you're that person. This is you find some sort of you can identify with your person that takes you or whatever. You can find you can justify them or something. You know what I mean? It's just like you can just find kindness in your oppressor or assailant, assaulter. I don't know what the fuck the word I'm looking for here.
Um,
Captor.
you find good and bad, essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. No,
It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more involved, but essentially, yeah.
I mean, in that case, this whole club is Stockholm syndrome. We all find good and bad. Good for us. God damn. Pat on the back.
True. True. We're all true. Our trauma bonds us together.
The ASHMC, the already Stockholm syndrome. Goddamn. Yeah, I don't know. I don't talk about it often with people, and I've never actually opened up about. Not even Ziggy knows how I feel. Not even Rue knows, but
Jeez, why the fuck would you tell me first then?
I feel like you should know, because Edgar's the first person I've heard of being in purgatory. And
I didn't even know Purgatory Island was a thing until we were looking for Alice.
yeah.
But there's like a little bush over there. And I sit next to it and I just read to it. I hope that he can hear me.
And you should keep doing that.
It's a very long book, so yeah, I've got a ways to go.
I think the same way that we go to a graveyard and take a knee and leave a coin and talk to
Or
it.
flowers.
Flowers, right? I think it should be treated the same. I will say, though, in my nightmares, I do wish there was some good or some peace.
I hope so too. I hope you find rest.
Hey, Flop's not talking shit about Norman.
The strength
Flop's not
to
saying anything
confront it.
unusual. He's not doing anything bad. He's just talking about his nightmares. Flop has no idea if this is involving Norman. If anything, Flop is simply just saying that, you know,
If you ever need help with anything, you know you can always rely on me.
Absolutely. Listen, Flop's not saying anything bad. He hasn't said anything regarding Norman. All he has said is that...
Because why be called tally marks if you can't count on me?
That's a great sentence. That's a great, like, headliner for you.
Thank you. If I run for politics, that'll be my slogan.
I love that so much, actually. The only thing Flop has said is that, you know, the only thing he can suspect is that this has something to do with purgatory, but he can't prove it. The thing you have to understand is that Flop literally, like, has Norman's nightmare. But he never knows why, and he'll never know why. Unless Norman ever tells him, Flop will never actually have that answer.
Well, he's already gotten his reading, so he only gets one canto at a time. I'm reading him the Divine Comedies.
You're reading him what?
You ever heard of Dante's Inferno?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
So that's one book of 3. But the whole collection is called the Divine Comedies.
What is it about?
It's about Dante. Allegory is like a poet. think he might have been a politician or he was some sort of religious person as well. I don't know. The Catholic Church had like a problem with him, so they exiled him to like a thingamabob or whatever, like a country. I don't know. The specifics I don't really know because it's been a while since I've refreshed myself on it. Anyway, he wrote this kind of like you ever heard of like okay. You ever read the Chaucer's Tale, like the Knight's Tale, or the name's Gregory
Thank you, Christian. I
Chaucer.
appreciate you.
Anyway,
Thank you for
no,
the
okay,
47
it's a
months. Thank you.
poem
Thank you.
slash story. It's a story, but it's
Hearts and
written
chat,
in
please.
poetic form, like stanzas and stuff like that. Because back then, people don't write books, right? Like as we know them, like a Tom Sawyer sort of thing. It's more like Homer, where it's like a poem, right? Like the Iliad, the Odyssey, stuff like that. I'm sure you've read, or you've seen what they were, Beowulf, right?
Yeah.
So it's poetic and it's like blah, 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 stanzas and Shakespearean or whatever. Anyway, so the concept is Dante is lost in himself, finds himself in the woods of despair, basically, and he's chased by like dogs and hounds and all those scary types of shit. And he
Thank you again,
gets
Christian.
to and when he feels the at his worst,
Yeah, Flop talking
Virgil,
about his nightmares is not
another
new. Flop
philosophical,
just,
uh,
for the first
kind of like a
time,
Socrates kind of person,
elaborated
right? Like a philosopher, a poet, a bard.
upon his
He uses
fear.
himself as a
Flop pretty
bard,
much just told Tally, you know,
as
good luck getting
his
to
he
Edgar
and he's
if my
essentially
nightmare has
Virgil's
anything to do
guide
with purgatory. GG, you're
through
fucked.
the different levels of hell, so that he could come out the end of it into paradise or heaven, where his beloved Beatrice is. So the Divine Comedies go through that whole journey of this lost man finding his way to paradise. And all the, because there's like 7 layers of hell that he has to go through.
Uh-huh.
And funny enough, when people say when hell freezes over in Dante's Inferno, hell, the last layer of hell is actually frozen.
Is it really?
Because, yeah, because think of it this way, right? Anytime that we've seen God talked about in scripture, it's always in light and in fire, right? The burning bush, the stars and skies, right? So he's always seen as warmth and fire. Hell is frozen because the devil's wings are so massive and expansive that it cools everything down to a freezing temperature. He is the antithesis of God. So if God is warmth and fire, the devil is cold and ice.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually kind of intriguing.
Isn't it? So right now, I am on part of the book where he hasn't entered into hell, but he's about to. I'm sure you've heard the phrase "abandon hope, all ye who enter."
Yes.
That is from this book.
Okay. So then I do kind of know about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a common phrase. There's a lot of things that people pull from it, but yeah. So I'm hoping that me reading this, I am his Beatrice, so that he can come home or pass on. And I don't know, maybe Virgil is TJ. I don't know. You can pick whatever you want for that one.
I mean, I really don't know about my dream. I really don't know what it means. I never did, and I never sought to like seek out the answer either. And even when it was offered to me on a silver platter, I still turned it down. I'm a firm believer in what, for me at least, what is done is done. And I'm just gonna grab one across real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ooh, level 3 dump valve. Yoink. Oh my god. That's a lot of mats. Yeah, I'm also stepping away real quick to kind of just explain real quick. Um, Flop is not in the mindset of like fearful of talking about his nightmare. Flop is not talking negatively on Norman. Flop is not actually even talking negatively on anybody or, you know, anything regarding pestilence or any of that. The only thing Flop knows is that he has nightmares. And the only thing he is sharing with Tally is, I can't tell you if what I'm saying is true. But what Flop pretty much just said to Tally was, if my nightmares do be true, good fucking luck. Which in that case, you know, Flop is kind of giving Tally a little bit of a reality check to say, you're probably never going to get through to him again. Which is, I don't know the fucking code. I don't know the code. I don't know. Gotta check the sheet. We know. I don't think people do.